Welcome back. You're still watching Proud Breakfast News Review right here on Citizen TV with me, Fred Indimuli. We're still here with Fabian Muli, MP Kangundo, Kimani Kunjiri, MP Bahati, Mithika Linturi, Senator Meru County, and now we're joined by Esther Passaris, Woman Representative, Nairobi County, and Samson Cherargei, Senator Nandi County. Senator Cherargei is the one who replaced Senator Stephen Sang, who is now the governor of that particular county. Karibuni sana. First, to begin with, I have to congratulate both of you on your election. This is the very first time both Esther Passaris and Samson Cherargei are getting into parliament. Karibuni sana. Let's start off with Lady Esther Passaris. I think this is your first time on this panel since election. I think I should give you some 15 seconds to thank the good people of Nairobi.
Yes, I mean, I'm absolutely grateful. Over 800,000 votes for them having confidence in me. I know it's not going to be an easy task, but we are up for the game. We want to serve Nairobians. We want to serve Kenyans in general, because this is the capital city. Poverty has reached heights that are unimaginable. We are getting really in a place where people cannot afford to sustain themselves and their families, and we need to get working. And it's such a shame that the elections were bundled, because now we are back to electioneering period.
Yes. We'll come to that issue of about elections and the repeat elections, but before that, let me give Senator Samson Cherargei an opportunity also to thank the good people of Nandi County who have elected him, and he now has to fill very big shoes left by Senator Stephen Sang. Senator?
Good morning. I want to take this opportunity to thank the great people of Nandi County for giving me the opportunity to be the senator. I know it has not been easy, but I want to promise them I'll do my work as a senator religiously to ensure that we have equity, fairness, transparency and accountability, not only in Nandi County, but across the 47 counties. So I hope we'll work together to ensure that we bring transformation in Nandi County, not only in Nandi County, but across 47 counties across Nandi County, across the country.
Okay, so today we are lucky to have members from both the National Assembly and the Senate, which incidentally, today they're having the official opening of the 12th Parliament. Both houses are joint seating of Parliament, the National Assembly and the Senate, which will be attended by none other than President Uhuru Kenyatta. NASA has indicated that they will be skipping that particular session, but we'll be discussing that a bit later. We now want to look at the numbers and the claims that what those numbers can do. Coming straight from State House, President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday made this claim that even if Raila Odinga gets elected, he will be kicked out in a matter of 2-3 months, simply given the Jubilee numbers, or the Jubilee party's strength in both the National Assembly and the Senate. That story was filed with Citizen TV by Jackie Maribe. Let's watch it and then discuss that with my panel.
The game of numbers would make for conversation Monday, with Jubilee priding itself over major victories from the governor races down to MCA slots. President Kenyatta questioning how NASA leader Raila Odinga would govern the country with the lack of strength in numbers in parliament.
Hata akichaguliwa, we have the opportunity in parliament within 2 months, 3 months. Tumemtoa.
Kama ingekuwa ni Raila Odinga ameambiwa ya kwamba umetangazwa umeshinda na kura 1.5 milioni, alafu waambiwe tena ati iko kurudia, Kenya hii ingekuwa bado tunaongea Kenya hii? We love our country so much, na tunamheshimu Mungu na tunafuata sheria.
The president and his deputy saying the superior numbers is a proof that they beat Odinga in the August 8th contest and that they will beat him again come October 17th.
Hata Raila akichaguliwa, niambie atatawala nchi ya Kenya kwa njia gani? How? Leo hii, with 41 senators elected and nominated, we can do business in the Senate without a single member of NASA present in the Senate.
But NASA principal Moses Wetangula was quick with a rejoinder, terming the president's statement as reckless.
It shows the levels of desperation that the president is displaying by pressing each panic button, so to speak, before we go to the next elections. He has got no capacity within his coalition whatsoever.
President Kenyatta heightening his onslaught in Ukambani after a series of defections from leaders there. The president now hosting over 500 leaders from the region at State House, Nairobi. They are now promising to deliver the region's vote to Jubilee.
Kalonzo Musyoka, kila miaka mitano tumekuwa tukibeba awe rais kwa sababu ya community interest, lakini mheshimiwa rais, hii sasa imekuwa kitu ambacho hatuoni mwisho yake.
But differences between factions of the Ukambani.
Allow us to cut that story there. The point is taken. We just needed that beat about the impeachment. Ladies and gentlemen, what the president said, what is captured here on the Standard: Uhuru, we will kick out Raila even if he wins. NASA response to head of state after he declares that Jubilee has the numbers in parliament to dislodge Odinga in 2 or 3 months if opposition leader is elected. Whatever the president said, let's start off with you, Esther Passaris. Do you think it's fact? Do you think it's possible?
Can I tell you, first of all, I think it's really sad that he said that. But it also gives me hope, because I think he understands that Raila is most likely going to win this election again. And if Raila wins this election again, then his strategy would be to impeach him. But I think to impeach a president requires a lot more. I'm not a lawyer, but I understand that it's not that easy. And when you have state machinery, which Raila will have when he is president, I think to impeach, and knowing the quality and the caliber of some of our elected leaders, it's going to be very, very difficult to impeach Raila if he is elected, or when he is elected president.
Okay, Senator Samson Cherargei, what do you think of the statements by the president there? Simply political rhetoric, or does he really intend to do that, and does he really believe that the Jubilee numbers are capable of impeaching a president?
I think it is simple political rhetoric, because Jubilee does not have an intention of losing any election. Going by the just concluded 8.2 million, and you can see the whole country shifting. Even as we discuss in Nairobi County alone, Uhuru Kenyatta will win resoundingly, because all politicians within Nairobi County have shifted. You saw campaign leaders yesterday at State House and across the country. So I know, as the law per Article 145 of the Constitution provides for the process of the impeachment of the president, but that one notwithstanding is that there are so many more expected, because you must, one of the grounds to be impeached as a president is you must have committed a gross violation of the Constitution, or there is a belief that you have violated international or any other international law, and therefore there are processes that are provided for the impeachment of the president. But in as much, I think the president was just having a lighter note of political rhetoric, because the way Jubilee has asserted itself across, as we talk even in Western Kenya, where predominantly Raila Odinga had the numbers, we now have 8 members of Jubilee, even in the heart of NASA strongholds. So I think that issue was just by the way, but we know we don't have intention of losing this election. We have campaigned so hard, and we have prepared the machinery so that
there will be no need for impeachment.
Yeah, there is no way for impeachment. In fact, we should not be having this. That is a discussion we should be having when we're having chai and mandazi.
Well, President Uhuru Kenyatta came out himself without being probed, and said this. Is it an indication of the fact that Jubilee does understand that yes, this is a real election coming on October 17th, and yes, there's a real possibility that he could not be president after that? Ngujiri?
Well, let me say this. It's for us to use the common sense and ask ourselves, whom was he addressing? He was addressing people politically, and he must put his own strategy of showing them, I want you to come because we are going to win. And we are going to win because the reason is that we still have the number. So this is not something we should take a topic as a very serious issue that the president released a statement. This is a political statement, and he was addressing politicians. Even if it's me, I will people telling them I'm in this position and I can be able to do this. So that one.
So you're saying it's simply a matter of chest thumping, that we should not read much into it. It's just political chest thumping that is just saying we have the numbers just to scare the other side a bit.
But the fact, this is politics. But the fact remains, we have the number. And
so we shouldn't take the president seriously.
No,
that's what you're saying.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Okay, yes.
Because I don't want kakakaka. Let me address myself. When I finish, you talk.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What I want to say is that the president was addressing politicians. And that should not tie us saying that we have that intention as the Senate have said.
Okay.
Because definitely we know we are going to win.
Yes.
That one we know that. But in the politics, you cannot take even every point. When I say something, you stick on the small point.
Yes.
When you lose the big picture of what you wanted to say. So for me, I can say we have the number right now in the parliament.
Yes.
We have the number in the Senate. We have the number of women. We have the number of MCAs. We have the number. That shows how strong the Jubilee is on the ground. And that's why people are shifting, because nobody will go to vote where he is going to lose.
Okay.
Though people go where they are going to win, and they are saying we have the number and they want to go and win.
Speaking of the numbers, because the numbers are real, Jubilee Party alone has 172 elected members of the National Assembly. If you add some of the affiliate party members, it comes to about 220. You require about 234 for a clear two-thirds majority. You're only short of about 13 or 14 there.
Yeah.
Bwana Mithika Linturi, there is a real possibility of even Jubilee being able to make amendments to the Constitution, and the President alluded to this, even away from the impeachment.
Muli, let me say that there are all possibilities when it comes to matters of politics and where politicians are involved. But I would want people to concentrate, I would want Kenyans to see the President's statement in light or in the context of the confidence that he has towards winning this election. I would want them to look at the President's statement in the context of the numbers that he has in Parliament. And you know, any politician going for an election is always confident that I'm going to win. In my view, in fact, Uhuru Kenyatta is our project. It's a project of the people of Kenya. You saw he had 8.2. He has 172 soldiers in the National Assembly. He has 41 senators. So when he speaks that way, I understand where he's coming from. I'm saying, he is saying this is not something that we can lose. It's not there. To me, it's unimaginable that the President or Uhuru can lose on 17th, because it is hard to do the legwork. It is hard to go around campaigning. And now he was trying to tell the campaign leaders, look here, you guys are opposition sympathizers. And even if you are to imagine there is any possibility of Uhuru winning or of Raila Odinga winning, or your community supports, then how does he work in Parliament? That is what he was trying to ask the Kamba people to reason out and see, because of the numbers, and with the numbers and politics being what politics are about, and the processes of impeachment clearly emanating from the lower house, emanating from the National Assembly, then there is likelihood to have that motion pushed through up to all the way to the Senate for impeachment of the President. In my view, that is what he meant on a light note. So what Wetangula is trying to say is trying to blow this matter out of proportion, and I think there is no cause of alarm. I want to assure the country, even if the President spoke or said about it, one, they must also know that the President does not participate in the impeachment of the President. It is the Assembly and it is the National Assembly and the Senate. So those members that will be there, even if Raila won, will be considering a motion on impeachment of President on its own merit. So let us not really believe too much to look at what the President said, but understand in politics, people must really strongly put.
And we are in a political season, and unfortunately for this particular show, we simply look at the headlines as they come. This one is actually screaming on the front page of the Daily Nation. We will kick out Raila even if he wins. Yes, he was alluding to the huge numbers that Jubilee enjoys in both the National Assembly and the Senate. Bwana Fabian Muli, you say you're neither in Jubilee nor NASA, but you're a member of this National Assembly. Do the numbers that Jubilee has and the numbers that Jubilee keeps on bragging about, do they scare you? Do they make you feel uneasy in that house?
Okay, I'll come to that, but because we are talking about impeachment motion of the President, there is one thing we Kenyan we need to know. With the set procedures of the law, impeachment in this country not easy. We are seeing reference with governors, reference to what has been happening. There are many counts which the governors also had many people, the opposition had many people, but it was impossible. So with some of this, I'm saying that Uhuru Kenyatta is a candidate for election. Raila Odinga is a candidate to election. We need to these people to understand that we are going for election. They need to give us their manifest and they need to come for our votes. Some of the political order, they are not going to give them miles or give them anything. So coming to my side, say that I come from Mungano. It is this thing of party psychopaths I don't support. We are going to parliament to articulate the progressive of this country. We are not going to parliament to speak about NASA, Jubilee, what. These parties, I recently told one guy, they only come 1 year. After election, they are not there. We are going to the parliament for the sake of this nation. And somebody who knows the ethical rights of why he was elected by the common one, he go there and present the country and work for the country. But if you come purposely to be psychopath of party, you remain to be psychopath.
Finally, Esther Pasaris, I know you wanted to react to what Banangunjiri said. I'll give you that opportunity, but also ask you as a minority in the House, because of the numbers that ODM has, it is the minority party combined with the other parties under the NASA coalition. How do you plan to handle these numbers that the Jubilee is already bragging about? Even before you go for the repeat presidential election, they're already telling you we have the numbers and there's nothing you can do about it.
You know, they may have the numbers, but every elected leader has the mandate from his people to go and serve them. Okay, and for me, the fact that the opposition has been weakened, and this is something really sad, and opposition has been weakened in a strategic way by the government. When when we were looking at how the campaigns were going on, I was asking myself something, coming from a marketing background. Why was Jubilee, had there been a government that noticed that they had actually performed, why were they campaigning so aggressively all over the country? It's because they knew that they hadn't performed. They knew that the people had questions that were not answered. Corruption was a big issue. Lack of medical facilities, improved medical facilities, strikes everywhere. We knew that there was something, the devolution was not working. So for me, the people were dissatisfied. The people voted for Raila Amolo Odinga. This computer problem, the judiciary, which is an institution that we have created and strengthened, came out with a ruling. The elections were not free, fair and credible. So you know, to boast that you have all these numbers, for me the numbers come with the presidency, because everything else, and this is why we have a lot of petitions. So I think let us just get through this election, and for right now I want to tell the people of Kenya, you have leaders that right now are moving sides and shifting, but you have the vote.
But there's also the very genuine question that even the president asked, even if Raila Odinga were to become president, how does he govern with a clear minority in parliament, in both the National Assembly and the Senate? That is a real problem that does exist.
Let me tell you something. The same problem that existed with the presidency, we will see a lot of petitions, and we're seeing them, and the people that were just to win will come back into power. But as far as I'm concerned, the one thing I know, we are safer in Kenya with Raila as president than we are with Jubilee, for one simple reason. Raila will embrace everybody and work with everybody and deliver the constitutional mandate, where you don't have to feel that I have to be in government to serve the people. The president has to understand, to serve the people of Kenya after elections, there is no more splitting of people to say you have to be with me so that your people can benefit. Kenyans have to benefit whether you're in or out of government.
The clarity we need in this is the fact that very many bills emanate from government. Yes? When the particular government, a particular administration is trying to pursue its agenda, trying to work out its development agenda, you generate a bill and push it through parliament depending on your numbers. Yes? And if it passes through that, then it comes back to the president for assent. Now the fact that we have Jubilee with a majority, both simple and with a very marginal gap for them to get to the 2/3. Even if Raila Odinga were to become president, he will have it very tough. He'll have a very rough time trying to pass legislation through parliament. Isn't that a real problem?
Yeah, but you know, the thing is, there comes a time that we have to actually stop politicking and serve the people. If there is a bill that comes, and the bill is for the good of Kenyans, why will you oppose it just because Raila is opposition and we were, oh, you are opposition and Raila is government and we have to do this? At the end of the day, we do the politics, we get into office, we serve the people. And the one thing I know, Kenya is safer in the hands of Raila because he is one person that fights for the rights of everyone.
Okay, well, Ambithika Linturi, you've been in parliament for a while. Do you think that's how parliament works, that the members actually think outside their party boxes and actually vote as individuals?
Only please, and with a lot of respect to my sister Pasaris, I really want to really beg her to understand Kenya is a democracy, and Kenya being a democracy, all people or parties that participate in an election do so to acquire power. And why people fight to acquire power is, one, to be in a position to levy Kenya taxes and develop the country as a government. The other thing why people trying to acquire power is for them to have the advantage of developing a country through a manifesto that they sold out to the people. So when Pasaris is trying to feign ignorance by saying or suggesting that there is a possibility of Raila uniting this country on being a better president than Uhuru Kenyatta, when his history, when he has not demonstrated to be a person that can unite Kenya. The Kenya has been or is fragmented. The people that have suffered during the period that is brought about uneasiness and despondency in the country, and its failure to embrace democracy in totality is what has caused a lot of problems. And Pasaris, for your information, when you people, the NASA people, speak, only talk about how the election was bargained and how the election is not a reflection of really the will of the people. For your information, you are a product of this system. And if you were as genuine or as truthful, I would have heard you saying, I am resigning because the elections were bungled and I don't think I was declared the woman rep for Nairobi the right way. That is what I would have really expected somebody to do. But Raila Odinga is a perennial loser in elections. He will never admit situations whereby he has lost an election because he doesn't believe in democracy.
Esther Pasaris, I'll give you 30 seconds to respond to that.
Democracy is defined by Raila Amolo Odinga. That is the only statement I can make for you. And I want to tell you something. At the end of the day, we have to respect. You're talking about government legislation. If you don't even respect the judiciary, you have no business talking about government and legislation.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the other headline now. Let's move on to the other headline. The fact, this is on page 9 of the Daily Nation. NASA MPs vow to skip the first sitting of Parliament. This is happening today. The 12th Parliament official opening is happening today, presided over by none other than President Uhuru Kenyatta. Both houses of Parliament, that's National Assembly and the Senate, will be sitting in the National Assembly chambers this afternoon for that official opening. NASA Principal Moses Wetangula says the opposition MPs will boycott today's opening of the 12th Parliament. Esther Pasaris, is that a fact? Will you be attending that?
I will not be attending. And the president basically says he doesn't need any of us. So why does he want us to attend?
Your lack of attending, is it based on President Kenyatta's utterances yesterday or some other
I think if there was even a thought that I would attend yesterday, it just made me realize, no, I don't have to attend. And I will not attend. At the end of the day, for me, I really believe with all my heart and with all my sincerity, right, that Raila Amolo Odinga should be the one addressing Parliament today and not Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes, Uhuru is still president until another
Well, he's president, but the question is, the elections were not free, fair and credible. So we're going back to an election. Let us finish with the election, and then when we see the president, and this is Chebukati and everybody that's in the IEBC, please conduct a free, fair and credible election. And then we have the voice of the people.
Yes, Borakimani Munjiri.
There's something I want to say, and I agree with the senator. Sometimes ignorance or being maybe sycophantic because of the parties or following some people. Let me tell you, my sister need to know here, we are elected as we have not been challenged. As member of the parliament, as MCAs, as the governors, we are there. And the business must continue on this. It is not going to stop the election which is going to come. No. But already now, we have to serve the people. We have been elected by the people to serve the people. And it must continue. It will not stop Uhuru to go for election. No. This is different. And let me tell you, Some of people, what they are saying, they don't understand. When Pastor is saying here that the government have done nothing, please, I've been a member of the parliament, and I want to say before my God in heaven, I know what I've done with the money of the government on the ground. I know how we have built the schools. I know how we have done roads. I know how we have done electricity. All these things we have done. But let me tell you, as leaders elected, there is a saying in Kiswahili. It says, hakini ni nyeri, na hakuna mtu hakili zake. Let's not be taken by people. Even if I'm in Jubilee, I cannot be led by the president doing something which is contrary to the constitution or my duty. Because he is going to be elected, but I'm elected by my people in party. So I must make sure that I'm working, I'm there, I do not stop anything. But the issue of saying that because Leila have said or Tanzania have said this, that now we shall not go. That is not using your own brain.
I'm sure you must have something to say about this.
History never forgets. I remember the NASA from the MPs and the senators. They were ranting around this town and said they would not attend swearing in. When they saw the law, they realized that if they are not sworn in, the law will implicate them. And I want to say we should stop addressing our party leaders the way the women rep of Nairobi she's doing. She's not addressing Kenyan, she's addressing Raila Odinga, which the law is very clear. In fact, the law that has provided address of the president is as per the constitution. And they should just come. The reason they cannot come is because they are required to keep silent and not to raise even a comment. Therefore, the only thing they can do is to throw water around. But now that they are not coming, we expect the sergeant and arms to provide water so that they can go. I think they are experts in demonstrations, picketing, press conferences, and declaring empty rhetoric. So we should allow the government to move. We are now having governors and MCAs have been sworn in. The county assemblies are running. The president still is protected by the law. Let us wait. And I think for us in Jubilee, President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto will not lose. So it means the business should continue. What we are having is Raila Odinga escorting President Uhuru to be declared the president after 17th of October. And in fact, they have said they are not comfortable with IEBC. It means they will not be participating in election, and the law is very clear that
we'll come to that headline about the IEBC and the composition of the team that will run the repeat elections. But on this issue of NASA saying they will skip the official opening of Parliament, and that's what we are on now. Bwana Fabian Muli, of course, even after whatever speech the president makes today before the houses of Parliament will have to be discussed for about 4 consecutive sittings of the National Assembly. Surely, does it mean therefore that these members of NASA who will skip this will have to skip another 4 sessions because that will be the subject to be discussed?
This is where now Muungano comes in. We are asking now, where is Muungano, where is Jubilee and NASA? This is the understanding of common man which Mwananchi need to understand. Former Prime Minister stands as a candidate for election on 17th. Uhuru Kenyatta stands in 2 names, incumbent and the candidate for election on 17th. Today's parliament is the incumbent who have called the members of parliament. We cannot run from what the law says. It is clearly said, well, the president can go also, we can call him. So I think my understanding, and we as Muungano, we are saying this, because the law says that the incumbent can call us. This is what I've been arguing the Jubilee and NASA. If you have to lobby something, let's follow it in a procedure of the law. Let's not just be arguing, oh, President Uhuru, oh, President Raila, what they're saying. In the long run, there is a common man who needs our services. So I think going to parliament, you are not going because of Raila or Uhuru. You are going because what the law pertains. And I think I'll be there because the law says that the president can come and address because it's the instrument. Yeah.
And Esther Passaris, I'll give you another opportunity because you're clearly outnumbered on this one.
I've not made any comment in regards to that.
I'll come back to you, but Mithika Linturi. Esther Passaris, there's independence between the executive and the legislature. You went ahead and you're sworn in as a member of the National Assembly. Yes, despite indicating earlier that you would skip that ceremony. Now, the legislature has nothing to do with the president or the presidency, or the fact that you're going for a re-election, because that only concerns the presidential election. Parliament and the legislative arm of government have to continue their work as the other members of the panel have put it. What is the point of skipping today's session?
Well, I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, we have basically decided as a coalition that we're not going to go for it, and that is the point. We're not going to go for it. And at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, we are out there talking to our people, campaigning. We've got issues that we need to resolve and address and deal with, and we don't really feel that being in Parliament at this particular time for the President's address is something that we want to participate in.
The question is, because once that address is made, then Parliament will have to discuss it for a number of sessions. Does it mean that if you skip today's session, you will also not be part of those sessions as well?
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, what is important right now, I mean, for me as a woman representative, we're going to obviously, we haven't even settled in our offices, there are no handovers. This, you know, the government is makes it very, very difficult for leaders who are elected from the opposition to actually serve the people. So for me, I think the most important focus for me is to make sure that we actually continue to tell the people, don't lose hope, don't be influenced by the leaders who right now are jumping camp or being lured to go into government because you won't be served. Because at the end of the day, we know that devolution is real, we know that the Constitution is real, we know that Kenyans have a right to access all these services, and the most important thing for us is to win the election again, and then we forge ahead.
Yes, Bwana Mithika Linturi.
You know, it's very sad, and this is why I detest this behavior of the NASA principle and the aspect of trying to micromanage as members of Parliament. In fact, I would liken the MPs, with all due respect, and the NASA fraternity like robots, where if the country principal today says don't go to Parliament, they will say yes, we are not going. If they are told do MBCD, they will do it. For God's sake, the President is required by the Constitution to address Parliament within 13 days after the swearing in. And what President Uhuru Kenyatta has done is say that particularly today, I will address the joint sitting of the Senate and the National Assembly. The requirement for the Constitution of our House is what is required by the Constitution of 50 members should be present for there to be quorum. You cannot be compelled if you so wish. Even you believe they do not want to append or they are probably engaged in other matters and are not available, and as long as there are 50 members in that particular house, the President will come and make a statement. Okay. So it's no big deal that when nothing does not appear, life comes to an end. The President will come and address those members. And again, when the President is going to Parliament, he is going to address Parliament. It doesn't go, the law does not provide that he must address the members of the opposition and the members of the ruling party. So this is sheer nonsense. These people are only trying to play around with our minds, and we should give them a wide path. Forget about it. Let members of Parliament that want to be addressed by the President to be in the House, we will go there, sitting down and listen, and we continue the business. Okay. Kenya must move on. There is no vacuum in this country, and for that matter,
but before Bwana Ngwejiri come in, I need to challenge Bwana Mithika Linturi on a different matter we've just mentioned. Bwana Linturi, you've accused Raila Odinga of trying to micromanage the NASA members of Parliament. But wouldn't you say the same for the President, that whatever he says as a leader of the Jubilee Party, then that becomes law and no one can defy that in the National Assembly, that even those people who wanted or were ambitious enough to try and seek positions within Parliament, they were told off and they actually had to comply? This issue of party leaders actually dictating what members should do inside the House afflicts both the minority and the majority parties.
Exactly.
Let me tell you, Uli, I have known Uhuru Kenyatta to be democratic. No, I was his member of Parliament during Kanu. We started business in 1997. And it is not true for anybody to insinuate that the President has told anybody not to run for any position that he would want to. Let me tell you, party positions or leadership positions in the National Assembly are done by political parties. So if you don't go to contest who will be majority leader, who will be chief whip, it is the party that appoints. So if the President has consulted within his ruling coalition and being the party ends as independent or has made an announcement, we are bound by it because...
Speaker and Deputy Speaker?
Pardon?
Even for the positions of Deputy Speaker and Speaker?
For positions of Deputy Speaker, people are taken through an election. I can tell you, I can say in the Senate today that we have not elected our Deputy Speaker.
Yes.
And given that opportunity, we will elect our Deputy Speaker. That is the position.
I mean, come on, let's face it, it's not rocket science. You were actually told, this is going to be the Speaker and this is my final word. This is going to be the Speaker for both the County Assembly and the legislature. You were dictated on what. So don't say that you don't follow your party leader. Everybody follows their party leader.
We went through an election, and let me say this, without any fear of contradiction, that a political party, when a political party has taken a decision as a political party, I am bound by decision of a political party.
And the
political party leader.
Ladies and gentlemen, isn't that the same, but isn't that the same thing that NASA is doing, that once the party has a stand, then its members have to comply?
But you know what I am saying is that the political party decision will not dictate how proceedings will continue in the House.
But
if a political party takes a decision on how a vote should be cast, then they must be bound. And there is no single time that the political President Uhuru Kenyatta told us, when you go to the House, go and elect so and so. This is our candidate. When our candidate is brought to the floor of the House, then we support our candidate.
Bwana Kimani Mujiri, you were saying something. Let's come to Bwana Kimani Mujiri now.
What I wanted to say, I feel mercy on the people of NASA, because you don't even know, they are constructing, saying they want to go back in the election. Do you know there's a procedure? We must go in the parliament and pass the budget. We must make a proposal of what we are going to spend when the Kenyans are listening. So where do we get that money? We must go and start making a procedure to make sure this money is not just taken by somebody from somewhere. We must have a procedure of how do we get this money, how do we pass this money, according to that they want to go in the election. No, but why are we going for that? Let me finish. You'll be given your time to talk. Let's say this. We must go in the parliament and discuss these things. If NASA feels there are things which are not being done properly, they must know they are under the law and the standing orders. Come in the floor, let's discuss on the floor, let's agree, let's challenge. And it will make sense, because Kenyans will be seeing what are we challenging, what are we talking about. But when we are in the streets and we are not inside the parliament, I think it will not work properly. Let's all of us go there in the parliament and discuss these things. Let's allow
Senator Samson Cherargei to also contribute to this matter of NASA's threat to boycott today's sittings.
I think one thing I want to emphasize on is the Political Parties Act is very clear. The party democracy is very clear. But some of these issues, when you say you want to boycott attending of the presidential address, which is the creation of the constitution, it doesn't make sense. It borders more of a sycophancy, because you cannot, as my colleagues have said, you cannot be dictated now the proceedings will be done. So, and I think NASA lacks in tactical approach. Because the best thing they should have done is they should have ensured that they come to the floor of the House, ensure they challenge or caucus or use a bipartisan approach. And I think on the issue of whether directions are being given, the party position, the law is very clear. You defy the party position, you break the law. But when in fact it seems these NASA legislators are too sycophantic. That is why even if Raila tells them to not sleep, they will stand the whole night. Some of these things you need to use common sense so that you project the seriousness it deserves. You come to the House. The reason you are elected to be the women rep, to be the senator, to be the MP, is so that you can use the floor of the House to bring out issues that you think the government is not doing or you want to do. And in fact, you can caucus within the legislators to have a bipartisan approach.
Yes, Senator, but what do you say to the fact that party leaders still wield a lot of power on legislators, that yes, you may have been elected on your own strength as Senator for Nandi County, but your party leader can still tell you what to do in that House, who to elect as Speaker, who to elect as Deputy Speaker. It is a fact, don't you think?
Of course, the law gives them. That's why we have parties. We need to grow party democracy. It doesn't mean, I'm saying
the Speaker's position and that of Deputy Speaker have nothing to do with the party.
No, the issue, in fact, it was an election. No one gave us an order. all around. For Senate, we had around, I think, 10 people were interested in speaker's position, and all of them sell their manifesto. And then we went to secret ballot. Uhuru Kenyatta was not there. William Ruto was not there. We elected on our own volition after looking at the track record of Speaker Kenneth Lusaka. With what happens with the Deputy Speaker, there was no one who was running, so we are waiting, and we will elect based on the free and fairness of the election through the secret ballot. So the issue of that the directions were given, it is not true. It doesn't hold water. The issue is there was an election, there was no direction, there was an election, and therefore we elected based on our own conscience, based on our own volition, that we elected the speaker. Fair enough. We'll leave that issue there. Let's now look at the upcoming repeat presidential election. The IEBC and the staff members of the Commission Secretariat are on the third day of the 3-day retreat at the Great Rift Valley Lodge in Naivasha. Yesterday, the IEBC chairperson of Uhuru Chebukati came out and issued a statement. It appears the Commission and the Secretariat are now fronting a very united front. Chebukati declares the Commission has smashed out differences that had threatened to tear it apart last week, saying they have resolved to work as a cohesive unit to prepare for the fresh presidential poll on October 17th. That story is on page 4 of the Daily Nation. It is also on page 6 of the Standard, and the issue now is it appears that Ezra Chiloba has made a comeback. Now he has a role to play in the repeat presidential election. NASA has been categorical that if Ezra Chiloba is involved in any way, they will not be part of that election as well. Another threat for boycott. Esther Passaris, Ezra Chiloba appears to be back. What next?
Well, I mean, for us, we cannot go through an election with him there, all right? And I think we've made that very clear. At the end of the day, when you have somebody who is clearly not biased, how do you go back and compete with that person? I mean, it's, you know, I mean, for me, I feel that Jubilee intends to make sure that they do everything possible to frustrate Raila and then make him feel like he is make the country feel like he's the bad person. But the people, the citizens of this country are seeing this, and they're also understanding that there is a concerted effort by government to not have the will of the people heard, to not have the voters vote count. I mean, if you're going into a competition, all right, you want it to be free, fair, and credible. That's what our constitution calls for. If we want to have a country that is peaceful, let's make sure that we sit down, get to the drawing table, agree on who should conduct this. To say that, oh, Raila is always saying he doesn't want this, he doesn't want that, he doesn't want this. Let me tell you something. The democracy that all of you and all of us enjoy is because of Raila saying no. Okay. I recently saw a clip by Caroline Mutoko. He has firewalled our democracy. We've got to give him that credit. For me, I really feel Chiloba should not be conducting or having anything to do with this election, yes. And that's final.
Let me clarify, because the role he's been given is a bit different. The Commission has backed a project team appointed by the chairman to oversee that election. But now the IEBC Chief Executive Ezra Chiloba has been tasked with assessing the challenges encountered in the August 8th presidential election that was nullified by the Supreme Court. Do you still have a problem with that new role that he plays?
I mean, how can he be the same person, the student and the teacher at the same time? How can he mark his own performance? When
so
we're saying that, I mean, at the end of the day, come on, give it to an independent body to actually assess that and give a report, not to him himself. Come on, I mean, that's ridiculous. It's almost like you're making us look like we're people who have no intelligence.
Okay. Okay. Before we come to you, Senator, let's go to Bwana Fabian Muli. He has been quiet for a while. Bwana Fabian Muli, what do you have to say about Ezra Chiloba's return for this particular role, plus the fact that now the entire IEBC is no longer divided, or at least they're backing the team appointed by Wafula Chebukati to oversee the repeat presidential election?
Thank you. One thing you need to know that Kenya lost confidence with IEBC, and we say that they need to do a lot of consultation and consolidation. Again, what we say that we don't want to see IEBC firing people, because if they start plucking one person from this side, Jubilee will start feeling that the people are plucked are the people who are on our side. When you start plucking this side, NASA will feel that the people being plucked are on our side. The only thing we are saying that Chiloba should stay in IEBC, but what we need more people more people to be handed in this team. This team needs to gather confidence in this country to give us election on 17th. But now when we start pulling, if you pull Chiloba, Jubilee is complaining. If you pull this one, NASA is complaining. To my take, we need to add more people in this team.
Yes, that team has already been formed, and already even Jubilee came out and said that they're not happy with that team. But as it appears, IEBC has indicated that now the team has its entire backing. Let's come to Senator Samson Cherargei on this one.
I think the issue is when NASA speaks about intimidating, and I think we should respect the independence of our institutions that the Constitution created. I remember after the Supreme Court ruling, the NASA principal sensationally ethnically profiled some of the officers in IEBC, and when you see the names you were mentioning, they were coming from specific tribes that he perceives comes from the Jubilee. Therefore, we should respect, one, we should respect the independence of the institutions. Two, we should not make independence of institutions to be a career graveyard for most of the people that we appoint there. The last one is that the issue where Ezra Jiloba should be there so that we have cohesive and we allow these people to do the election. We only have less than, or not more than 30 days or less than 40 days to do the 17 elections. And therefore I think Ezra Jiloba and Chebukati should stay, because if you see even the memo that Chebukati wrote yesterday seemingly has been denied, because that memo, it was assisted to be written by Siaya Senator James Orengo, and that is why he was just being confused and intimidated.
That is an allegation, and I want us to go back to another thing, because that allegation, unless you are able to substantiate it, it will not carry any water on this panel. But back to this issue of ethnic profiling. Are you denying the fact that also Jubilee had a problem with the list presented by Wafula Chebukati for the team to oversee the repeat presidential election?
No, the issue is because if for those names that were mentioned, like Torore, Kasait, and Muhati, they come from specific regions that the NASA wanted, and it seems NASA intimidating IBC to appoint some
team. I'm talking about the
project team that the chairman appointed. If you see the reason Chebukati appointed those new people to run the election for the project is because NASA had already accused, even before the judgment, that the Supreme Court was supposed to give within 21 days so that IEBC can be conversant and be aware of what the problem or some of the officers that were found culpable. But it seems when the NASA ordered them, the IEBC, they seem to take the cue and to swallow both the hook and the sink and decide to appoint new officers because they felt intimidated, they felt threatened by the NASA.
Because the question now is, and probably let me ask Bonavithika Linturi. Yes, Bona Aden Duale, if I may mention, came out and said they will not accept, Jubilee will not accept that new team as listed by Bona Wafula Chebukati. That is already on record. Are you denying that?
Probably let me say that I am not aware of any meeting that Jubilee is at to make a decision that the list that comes from Jubilee will not be acceptable by Jubilee as a party in the conduct of the elections. To me, I would treat those as the opinion in the eyes of Ndwale and not collectively binding to me personally, because I have not participated in such a debate. And I am saying this categorically because I am a man that believes in the rule of law. I am a man that has confidence that whoever is overseeing the elections, President Uhuru Kenyatta will win. And I'm a person that must be bound by the decision of the Supreme Court. And this is why I want to make this comment, that NASA cannot be a beneficiary of a ruling of the Supreme Court which they selectively decide which one to go by and which one not to take. NASA, the ruling court, the Supreme Court said we repeat an election, and that election must be conducted by IMBC. So the rules of equity on demand that you must really go to seek equity with open hands, clean hands, that's what I mean. And as long as the rule and as long as IMBC was condemned, the NASA team has become, in my view, I would term them unreasonable. Unreasonable because when you look as the period that is required to implement the Supreme Court ruling within 16 days. And in the absence of a ruling for the next 21 days, then it means IMBC will only have 39 days to conduct an election if they were to wait for the ruling for IMBC to determine where we made errors and how to correct them. So that period will be too short. So I am saying NASA should be willing to discuss, should be willing to be objective and agree for the sake of this country. Let us see how we can move together, because Kenya must move on. So and I'm persuaded to believe that the narrative that has been created for a long time by different people, that NASA does not require a peaceful Kenya, NASA does not require a cohesive Kenya, and these people, because they are aware that they can never win a straight election where the people of Kenya have to make a decision. I am almost now being bought into that idea, and now conclude that NASA is trying to push for an Uchumkatan government, which in my view is taking power through the back door.
But Kibani Wanjiri on this one?
Well, I want to add and say this. We have a constitution in this country, and we have the laws which were made by Supreme Court. NASA people, they want to use the jungle laws, not using something which was made by Kenyans and passed by the Kenyans. We agreed, we challenged, and we said we were not happy with the ruling of Supreme Court. But we said, because there is a Supreme Court and there is a law, we must go back to election. And we agreed on that. But you cannot just go in the streets saying everything we don't want. I want to remind them, when they are saying they are not coming in the floor, that's where we can challenge the IBC. That's where we can discuss. That's where we can pass. Maybe removing some of them, or stopping them, or directing them with the power which we are given in assembly. This is why we should discuss, but not in the streets. Everything in the streets, everything ignoring. We don't want this, we don't want this. Please, let's respect the Constitution. The Constitution and the ruling of the court said it must be done within a certain time.
Okay.
When we start now putting other things, we cannot do this, once we remove this, how do we remove them? There is a process, and there is a law in this country. Let's not just behave like a jungle. And I want to say that I appreciate, and I want to say, my God, continue helping me to have my brain and to have independent brain to be doing what I think you created me for.
Esther Pasaris, if things stand as they are, because IEBC is an independent commission, they don't have to go by anyone's demands. They insist that Chiloba has to be part of this repeat presidential election. Then you go ahead and boycott the elections. Then you could be precipitating a crisis where probably after the 60 days as prescribed by the Supreme Court, that election is not able to take place. Then that is the same accusation that even Bonamithika Linturi just alluded to, that probably you're trying to push for a caretaker government once there is no proper election within the next 60 days, within those 60 days?
Do you know, there comes a time that you actually have to let go and let God. As far as I'm concerned, you know, I just heard my colleague here basically saying, I pray that my God gives me this and that and the other. I want to say something. To have a country that has come this far democratically, all right, we need to safeguard democracy, the right and the will of the people. Okay, I mean, like, you know, I mean, for me, the sadness is, it's like we are not prepared, no matter what, to conduct a free and fair and credible election. Because I can't understand why is it so difficult for us to actually sit down and ensure that IEBC does what is right. Okay, and the onus for me is on the government and the president. All right, if you have performed, if you know you have the mandate of the people, if you know that you're going to win anyway, strengthen the IEBC, make it independent. It was not independent. We saw that. So right now, that's what we need, so that every Kenyan counts. And for me, we're dividing this country even further by making statements like the one that was made yesterday. Oh, even if he does win, we are going to impeach him. All right. So for me, that means you do not want this man that majority of Kenyans, if not 50% of this country or 60%, say that this is the man we want for our president.
Okay.
So I feel it's important that for us to ensure that we get back to the drawing table. And I'm saying the president can call Raila, sit down and make sure that we agree. Because at the end of the day, this country, the way we're divided tribally, is not helping us. The way we look at names and we stereotype people. At the end of the day, we all need Kenyans. We need to go back to God.
Okay, thank you for that. And I'll give you each 30 seconds for your final remarks. Our time is up. Let's start off with Senator Samson Cherargei. Final remarks, 30 seconds, please.
I want to say what would the country we want, especially as young people, and you can see it's only in Jubilee where we have progressive leadership, is that we would wish that we have a free and fair elections, but let us stop intimidating, giving directions to the IBC. Let us allow institutions that we have to do their work, so that on 17 October, I think Kenyans are tired with these elections. They are tired with politicking for the last 2 years. Let us give an opportunity for Kenyans to exercise their universal suffrage on 17 on October, and I'm sure and certain Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto will be resounding 70+1. They will be declared the president and deputy president of this country.
Thank you for that. Let's go to Bwana Mithika Linturi.
I appeal for sobriety and reason to prevail amongst our leaders, and understand that the duty bestowed upon the parliament of this country is so heavy, so weighty, that the decisions that touch on them have to be decided on the floor of the House, and that's why that sovereign power of the people has been delegated to us. So I call upon anybody that may have any dissenting view in here to come to Parliament. Let's debate soberly and solve or sort out problems that would affect Kenya in the manner that is provided for or envisaged in our constitution and the law.
Thank you for that. Kimani Ngujiri.
Well, I would like to say this, that I want to agree with the Senator that we need to bring this country together. We need to make peace in this country. And we need to know, even after 17, when we are going for election, the country will still be there. And the people of Kenya will still be there. First, as leaders, we must be very careful with the utterance statement we are making of inciting the people. And second, I would like to advise NASA, if they want any change, let's go in the Parliament. Let's discuss according to the law and to the standing orders in the Parliament. Then we can be able to change things in the proper way, the way they want. But issue of doing things in the streets, that is gone completely.
Okay, thank you so much, Bwana Kimani Ngunjiri. Bwana Fabian Muli.
Thank you. NASA and the Jubilee, they are looking at all the situation which might favor their candidate in the coming election. But this is what I'm telling them. They need to understand they are Kenyan citizens who just want fair election and move on with their life. There are people who are not politicians. There are people who want job. There are people who want their project to be done. So this is what I need to tell NASA. They should respect and they respect the independency of IBC, so that at least IBC can move on. We go with the election. We get the fair candidate. The one who wins, he becomes the father of this country. Thank you.
And finally, Esther Passaris.
You know, the only thing I can say is I believe with all my heart that all the Kenyans that came out to vote, right, came out and they know who they voted for. I'm appealing to all the Kenyans, you know, come out again and vote. And those who are now being felt that they have to sway this way or say that way, no. Let us vote for the democracy of this country to be upheld. And this is also, I appeal to IBC, okay? If there's going to be no changes whatsoever in there, then let God guide you and you do the right thing. If the voters vote and their vote counts, I believe we will not have any problem. And we are not ones, NASA doesn't want to go on the streets all the time. So, you know, that's telling us don't go on the streets, don't go on the streets, come to Parliament. You know, that's not necessary.
Okay,
it is from Parliament that we fought for the democratic space that we want to enjoy.
Thank you so much, Esther Passaris, Woman Representative, Nairobi County, Samson Cherargei, Senator Nandi, Kimani Ngunjiri, Member of the National Assembly Bahati, Fabian Muli, Member of the National Assembly for Kangundo, and Mithika Linturi, Senator for for the great county of Meru. Thank you so much for helping us understand what's happening in the political scene. Very many interesting headlines today. Of course, there's that one about Raila saying that there's a tetanus vaccine and making women infertile is on both dailies. You can read that one as well. As well as a very sad story, a 15-year-old boy has taken his own life after losing position 1 in class. He just simply became position 2 and hung himself inside that classroom. Those are just some of the headlines on the dailies this morning. Well, Pub Breakfast still continues. Remember, Man Cave is coming up. Why do men cheat? That's a big question that really should be seeking to answer. Very interesting discussion there. There's also another interview by Joy Mudengi just before that. My name is Fred Ndemuli from Meets. Good morning.